So I got my crankshaft back and my engine block for my KOHLER K321 engine I'm rebuilding. And I brought it to Don's Automotive in Kenosha here, and they bored out the cylinder one over, and then they checked the crank, and then they ended up grinding it to one under. And then what I did is I ordered my piston one under, and then brought it there, and they double checked the piston, and it was within the tolerance of play in the cylinder. So then I just started today putting her back together, and got the rear bearing in, the governor gear down here, camshaft, and camshaft pin which slides in here from the bearing plate side. And then there were two shims. Get them in here. Two shims that went in here for the play. You can hear a little bit of play in there. It's supposed to be I think under 1, so if I check that, it's there's a little bit of drag. Those are the two shims that were in there when I took it apart, and it seems to be snug fit with them back in there, so I think everything's good there. They seem to turn freely. So I'm trying to follow the book here. I gotta get a ring expander to put the rings on the piston, but I could put a few more things together. And I've got the all right, now it's time to install the camshaft or the crankshaft. And my my engine doesn't have these balancing gears, which makes it much simpler. Here's all I got to do is line up the crankshaft timing mark and the camshaft timing marks, and should be good to go. If you have balancing gears, it looks like it's quite a process to line everything up. So we get to bypass all that. So I oiled up the end of the shaft there a little bit. I took and I marked the timing marks with a white marker. There's on the crank. I don't know if you can see in it. There's where they hit. There's a gasket kit for the rebuild. Now I gotta get the bearing plate gaskets on now. Gaskets and shims, I guess. So pull those out and throw them on. Now to install the bearing plate. And I put the gaskets on first, the gaskets and shims, and for mine, there's the tolerance. So I'm gonna put the gasket and two shims. I'll leave one out, and after I torque it down and tighten it, I'll check for the play, and if I need, I'll take it off and add another shim or remove the one, but I'll start like this. Before putting the bearing plate on, I had to set the camshaft pin. On my engine it's 0.3 to 0.33, so that's set. And I cut off some bolts here so I can slip these gaskets on, or the gasket, and then I'm going to put a couple of these shims. Oop. And then we'll tighten her down and check the end play on it. Alright, I installed the bearing plate, torqued it down 35 foot-pounds, and then I went to check for the end play in the crankshaft here, and there isn't any. So I guess to be safe, I'll take it off and take one of those shims out and check it again. So when I was putting the bearing plate on, I checked the gap on the crankshaft for play, and there wasn't any. So initially I took the shim off, and obviously that made it tighter. So I put all 3 shims with the gasket on there, and I'll put her back together and live with what I got. It still moved freely without 2 of those shims on there. And then book recommends cutting off a couple bolts here, make it easier to hold the shims on when you slide the bearing plate on. So that's what I did. We'll throw it together and check the gap if there is any again. Okay, put all the shims in, and I doubt I can get a feeler gauge, you know, in here to check the gap tolerance for the crank, but for end play. But I can feel a slight wiggle now, so, and it spins super freely, so I think it'll be fine. On to the next step. Okay, I got the piston in and torqued down to spec. I got the exhaust valve lapped. Now I'll lap the intake valve here.
What? Pretty snug.
Well, time to put all the parts back. I got them all, most of them pre-painted. Fuel pump, gaskets here. I just put the springs in. Still got to torque down the cap screws on the connecting rod. I think I've got the rod in there right with the oil hole right here toward the camshaft. Get all the engine tins painted up.
Probably somewhere right around 18,000, maybe 18,500. A lot of Cub fans here in Florida. When the Cubs scored their first run, you could hear them.
I used this Rust-Oleum high heat, flat black. See how that works. And on the muffler I used some wood stove paint. I don't know if that'll work or not, but it'll look good for a few minutes.